Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Pokemon Pocket video for you. So today we got our new trailer for the next expansion, Space Time Smackdown. It's really funny how everyone is convinced the next expansion will be Johto. Actually turned out to be Sinnoh. But in this trailer, we did see a few cards that I want to take a look at. Now, I know I'm definitely not the only channel doing a video like this, but there are a couple of things about these cards that I really think people aren't thinking about, or may have missed. So I want to scrub through the video, we'll look at all the new cards, or at least what we can make of them, and then kind of see which one of them will be, or which among them do we think is going to be good, right? Of course, this will be a lot of speculation. These are just the first few cards, and we're only going to see them briefly. So let's go ahead and just dive right on into it. So I'm just going to scrub through the trailer. Actually, you know what? Let's just play the trailer at double speed here for a second. So they do show, yeah, Dialga and Palkia, the title cards, are going to get shown up front. So there's going to be no guesswork about these, at least as far as what they do. So let's start with this Dialga EX here. 150 HP basic Pokemon of the Metal or Steel type, which is nice, excuse me, because we have not seen a lot of Metal or Steel Pokemon. There were not any at all in Mythical Island, fun fact. So, Dialga EX for 2 Metal Energy can deal 30 damage with Metallic Turbo. It also lets you take 2 Metal Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. We then have Heavy Impact, which for 2 Metal and 2 Colorless can deal 100. So, of course, a lot of people see this, and the first thing they think is Metal. But in my opinion, there's a couple of things about this, right? In my opinion, I think we should definitely, as far as like Metal or Steel type Pokemon go, wait to see what's in this pack. I imagine there are definitely going to be some good Metal, or at least decent Metal or Steel Pokemon to pair with this. Also, like, I think Metal's like kind of meh. I mean, obviously, if you can Turbo 2 energy onto it, it becomes a little bit more appealing, but I mean, you still have to use a Leaf to retreat this and swap the Metal in, and it's like, I don't know. The ability is fine, but attacking for... It's a lot of setup, and I don't know if the payoff is worth it. In fact, of the Pokemon that we currently know in this new set, plus the current existing card pool, to me, the much more appealing thing, and I'm not seeing everyone talk about this, is the fact that you can use Metallic Turbo on any bench Pokemon. It does not have to be a Metal/Steel type Pokemon, right? So what that means is that this can actually set up colorless strategies pretty well. Think Mew EX's Genome Hacking Attack. Think Wigglytuff EX's Sleepy Song. I think that's what the attack is called. Think about Pidgeot EX, right? These are things that Dialga can potentially set up with the Metallic Turbo, because of course for colorless energy, it doesn't really matter what the original energy type is, right? So that makes Dialga seem a lot more appealing. At least more than Metal to me, setting up against like Mew or Wigglytuff in particular. So I already think that strategy has a lot of potential. And again, I think we are going to see some better and or more Steel type Pokemon come out in the new set. So definitely looking forward to that. And of course, Palkia, going to be the other card here. So Palkia is another situation where I think people are missing hugely on this card. So Palkia EX, much like Dialga, has 150 HP and is a basic. It's got a 30 damage slash attack for only 1 water energy, and then it also has Dimensional Storm, which for 150 damage costs 3 water energy and a colorless. It says discard 3 water energy from this Pokemon. This attack also does 20 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So I see all the talk I see around Palkia right now is people being like, "Rip Palkia. Palkia sucks. You know, this is like so much worse than Mewtwo. Look what Misty does to the whole water type." But I don't think this card sucks at all. I think people are just focusing way too much on the Dimensional Storm attack. Where I think Palkia shines, and where it definitely slots into an already existing meta deck, is I think that I'm not going to say definitely, but I am very much going to try replacing Druddigon with Palkia EX in my Gyarados EX deck. I think that Palkia has a lot of potential to be a better setup staller than Druddigon currently is. My big complaint about Druddigon, while it is effective at stalling so you can set up in Gyarados, the big complaint I have about it is that you can't really invest energy into it unless you have to in order to retreat it, which feels really bad. But Palkia, on the other hand, One has more HP than Druddigon, even factoring in the electric weakness where Druddigon has no weakness. I think that's still a pretty big pro. And two, you can invest energy in Palkia, not only to very aggressively deal 30 with Slash, which I think a lot of people are overlooking that, but also if you really have to, you can set up Dimensional Storm and try attacking with this. Now, that's not your main strategy, of course, Gyarados is, but it's nice to just have another option if you're not able to get the Gyarados set up. We've all had those Gyarados games, those of us who have played it regularly, where you just can't seem to draw the Gyarados or the Magikarp, and you kind of like have to hope Greninja's enough to get there, which it usually is. Greninja's pretty good, but Palkia having another option to invest into if you need to, I think is great. Again, I think the Slash 1 Water Energy for 30 damage is a very good rate. And yeah, I think this could very easily potentially replace Druddigon in the Gyarados decks. Alright, so we see. Also, it's nice that it's split into 2 different packs, unlike Genetic Apex. Okay, let me go back there a sec. So we saw the first forms of our Gen 4 starters, right? We've got Turtwig, which is 80 HP for... Let me see if I can back it up, like, a little bit. There we go, so it's a little bit clearer. Alright, Turtwig for 80 HP is a lot for a Stage 1 basic. I think that's pretty noteworthy. It's got the 2 energy, 30 damage, bite attack. Chimchar and Piplup both have 60 HP. Chimchar just has the basic, 1 energy, deal 20 damage for fire, scratch attack. Piplup for a colorless heals 20 damage from itself, which is not bad. I think that's honestly better than just having a 20 damage attack. Sometimes, I guess it kind of depends, right? But if you're in a situation where you want to get to Empoleon, but you only opened like the 1 Piplup as your only basic, and have to throw it out as your starting Pokemon, then I think the Nap ability definitely helps your Empoleon stay in the long game a little bit better. But that's pretty basic stuff. I mean, those are of course just basic Pokemon. Okay, so Pachirisu EX, that went by a little bit quickly there. Let's scroll back to that. Yeah, here we go. So, the way that they angled this, we actually don't get to see Pachirisu EX's HP. What Pachirisu EX does, it's got the Sparking Gadget attack, which for 2 electric energy says if this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached, this attack does 40 more damage. So, of course, the biggest implication here is the existence of Pokemon tools. I think currently existing cards also reference Pokemon tools, but this definitely hugely implies that Pokemon tools will be in this set. We don't see any in this trailer, but that is definitely, of course, worth noting. As far as how good Pachirisu is, there's still a couple of factors. For one, obviously, how good are Pokemon tools? If there are Pokemon tools, I would say at least 1, but ideally 2. That are worth playing in like a Pikachu EX deck, then yeah, I could see a world where you play the Pachirisu EX, maybe even alongside Pikachu EX, for a very aggressive electric deck. Again, that's assuming that there are multiple Pokemon tools, or at the very least 1, that the Pikachu deck would already inherently want to play, not just adding them for the sake of putting them on Pachirisu. If Pokemon tools are not good, then obviously Pachirisu will be less good. And in that case, I don't think it would be as easy to simply splash Pachirisu and tools into a Pikachu deck. The damage rate is pretty good though. 80 damage, obviously 40 up front, but you get another 40 with a tool attached. But 80 damage for 2 energy is a really good rate. If you think about Pikachu's Circle Circuit dealing 90 being good enough, then 80 for an arguably easier to achieve condition. It just kind of depends on the hand of the situation. Definitely makes this a pretty good card. So there is also the fact that we don't know how much HP Pachirisu EX has, but I think as long as it's got at least 100, it'll definitely like not be an issue. Like, a lower HP count. If it's like 90 or less, then I think this might make the card a little bit more dicey, but yeah, I imagine it'll probably be at least 100. I don't think we've seen an EX with... I know we actually haven't seen an EX with... I don't think we've seen it with below 120 HP. I think Pikachu at 120 HP is currently the lowest amount. So maybe Pachirisu will be similar or a little bit lower or maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, we're really looking to see how good Pokemon tools are before we can evaluate Pachirisu. Okay, so here we have... I'm going to start with Honchkrow because that's more visible on, this portion of the video. Honchkrow, obviously stage 1 evolving from Murkrow, 100 HP dark Pokemon. Skill Dive looks like it says it does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, much like Lumineon, right? Which is a decent Pokemon. I imagine Skill Dive will probably, like Lumineon's attack, be 2 energy, 2 darkness energy, if I had to guess. So, how good that'll be will just, again, largely depend on how good Murkrow is, if there are other good Dark-type Pokemon. Obviously, there are currently good Dark-type Pokemon, but it's a very Poison-based strategy. I don't think we've had any actual Dark Pokemon in the game yet, now that I think about it. They've all just been Poison Pokemon represented by the Dark-type. Leafeon, ooh, that went by really quickly, so I might have to see if I can... Oh no, okay, you know what we could do? No, not Sleep Timer, I need playback speed. Let's get that down to 0.25. Go back a little bit here. There we go, okay, so Leafy Cyclone, oh my god. And boom. Okay. So Leafeon. Stage 1 evolves from Eevee, of course, 90 HP. Grass Pokemon, a Grass and a Carless, Leafy Cyclone. Deals 90 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack, it looks like it says. So, how good is that? Not very. Like, if you want to play an aggressive grass strategy, you should just play Executor EX. Like, Tropical Swing for 1 energy deals 40, sometimes 80. And it has a lot more HP. I mean, obviously it's an EX, which is kind of the extra point would be the drawback. But, yeah, I can't imagine a deck where Leafeon would be optimal to play, unfortunately. I'm going to leave it at slow speed here for a second as we continue to go through. Alright, Cynthia. A new supporter card. That says, during this turn, attacks used by your Garchomp or Togekiss do plus 50 damage to your opponent's, looks like, active Pokemon, is what it probably says. So, and then, of course, we have the Gibble here confirming the Garchomp line. But going back to Cynthia for a second. Oh, it is active. You can see it right there. It says active. So, plus 50 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon from Garchomp or Togekiss. That's obviously pretty insane, given that Giovanni gives plus 10 damage to anything. Plus 50 is quite a lot. A few things to note about this. One, it says attacks used by your Garchomp or Togekiss. So, if there are EX versions of Garchomp and Togekiss, I'm pretty sure this does not work with that. I'm pretty sure that it has to be specifically non-EX Garchomp or Togekiss, which, if that's the case, definitely does balance this by quite a bit. I also have to imagine that Garchomp and Togekiss are balanced in mind with the fact that you can potentially Cynthia. So I would predict that their attacks will have a lower than average damage rate relative to how much energy they cost. We did see, of course, the Gibble as well. 60 HP for 1 colorless can attack. That's worth noting because a lot of the big drawback of Dragon Pokemon is that they require multiple energy to attack. So if that's not the case with the Garchomp line, that is definitely very good. And then we have Cresselia, who I never noticed has hands here. That's weird. 110 HP. There we go. Psychic Pokemon. 2 Psychic Energy, Moonlight Gain, deals 50 damage, and heals 20 damage from this Pokemon. That's an okay, like, stall setup Pokemon, but I don't think it's, like, super great. And there we go. I believe those are going to be the final reveals for the Space-Time Showdown set. Smackdown, rather. So, yeah, I think, again, that people are overlooking certain things about Palkia and Dialga that we mentioned before. I think Palkia is quite good in Gyarados, and a lot of people are overlooking that. As are they overlooking using Dialga to set up colorless. But we'll have to see what other spoilers emerge. I'm definitely ready to talk about those as they come out. Thanks as always for watching. If you want to see more Pokemon Pocket content, make sure to sub and or check out some of my previously released content. I've made a deck profile for like just about every single deck in the game, barring just some stuff like Wigglytuff and Machamp. So if you want to check those out, again, feel free to sub and click on the channel, scroll through the videos there. But that'll be all for now. This is Hexlex. I'm signing out. Also hoping that you have a fantastic day.